resistance of Srihatta, the internal chaos. In the early 13th century, Sribhumi was ruled by Maharaja Jayananda. His three sons, Srinanda, Upananda and Govardhan, became embroiled in a quarrel. This conflict gradually took the shape of a civil war. After defeating Upananda, Maharaja Gaur Govardhan became the ruler of Brahmanchal. He ruled Srihatta as a feudal lord of the Sena dynasty ruler of Bengal, Gaudeshwar Surya Sen. In 1273, when Gaudeshwar Madhusen invaded and conquered Lakhnauti, Govardhan was appointed as the feudal lord of Gaud.
According to Hiranandir Panchali of Barannar, Srihatta Nagore Bas Magodo Nipoti Chirokal Koritar Rajye Bosoti, which testifies that Gaud Govardhan was appointed as feudal lord at Gaud and Magadh both.
But in 1282, there was a dispute between the Deva kings and the Sen kings, as a result which the Deva kings captured Bikrampur and the Turks took possession of Gaud in the west. End of Sen dynasty and rise of Devs. In such situation, the Dev dynasty monarch of Saptagram, Ariraj Danuj Madhav Dasharath Sen Danuj Rai, advanced an invasion towards Bikrampur. It was the most tragic moment in medieval Indian history, while two major relative Hindu dynasties of Bengal having civil war among themselves, while invading Turkish sword hanging over throats of both. The Devas had a fierce battle in which the Senas were defeated and Danuj Rai captured Bikrampur. This is where the Sena dynasty came to an end. In 1248, Mughisuddin Tughril II, the governor of the Delhi Sultanate, attacked Tripura kingdom. At Komilla Noakhali in the southeastern region of Bengal, the battle of Mughisuddin Tughril, the governor of the kingdom of Tripura and Lakhnauti, took place. As a result of this battle, the eastern frontier of the Delhi Sultanate extended to Subot. The rise of King Gaud Govinda. Srihattar Purbodesh Nam Goar, Ekkhani Desh Sei Bodoi Bistar, একদিকে জৈন্তা হেরেম্ব একদিকে মধ্যদেশে মুকুন্দ আকাঙ্ক্ষা কইলা তাকে সমুদ্র তনয় গৌড় গোবিন্দ নামেতে শ্রীহট্ট দেশের রাজা ছিলেন পর্বতে পাগল ঠাকুর পুনির বিল ছাড়িয়া রাজা ছিলটেতে গেল অট্টনাথের পূজা দিয়া ঠাকুর আলি পাইল অট্টনাথের পাঁচালি. Raja Govardhan died within a few days in an internal tribal revolt. Meanwhile, Joydev Rai, the feudal lord of Tripura, invaded Srihatta and occupied the Brahmanical region. At this time, Govardhan's nephew Maharaja Gaur Govinda ascended the throne of Srihatta and crowned as Samudra Tanay Srihatta Nripati. He appointed Achak Narayan as the feudal lord of Tunganchal, which was later known as Ita Kingdom or Ita Rajya. Chakrapani Datta was appointed as the chief minister and Manoranjan Roy as the commander-in-chief. He made an alliance with Raja Vijayanagar, expand of the empire. Gaur Govinda dramatically restored Gaud's reputation as a regional superpower by constructing forts all over his kingdom, guarding his kingdom with large stones, Shil, from which the name Shilot or Shilhet is theorized to have come from, and establishing a number of military training camps. He built a 7-story stone brick tower in Bijaynagar, which he called Gaurdwar, which would serve as the new capital. Govinda is credited to introducing grand archery in the history of Bengal. To prove his mighty, he tied the Khashi king to ropes, bringing him to Gaud. The Khashi paid a ransom to Gaud to free their king. Using Punibil as the battlefield against states like Laur and Jaintia, Govinda drowned his challengers to such an extent that Gaud, Sribhumi and eastern part of Katwa was described to be free of enemies during his region. By making peace with Ratan Manik of Tripura and gifting him an elephant, he was able to retrieve Brahmachal and Tungachal back to Gaud administration. He appointed his brother-in-law Achak Narayan to govern Tungachal. The first Srihatta Lakhnauti war. As Govinda's minister Manoranjan Rai was based near the port, Rai decided to stop the river transport and ferries, making it difficult for the opponents as the only other option was through the hills. When word of this reached Sultan Samsuddin Firod Shah, he commanded his nephew Sikandar Khan Ghazi to lead an army against the Raja. Sikandar marched with his soldiers towards the low-lying hills of Sylhet via Maimansingh. Govinda appointed Chakrapani as his commander-in-chief. The army was confronted by Govinda's skillful archers. Govinda's army was noted as Bengal's first army which was practiced the skillful art of archery. The Turkic army, inexperienced in the foreign terrain, which consisted of many low-lying hills and valleys, were brought to utter shame by Govinda's Srihatta Bengali archers and had no option but to retreat back to Lakhnauti to avoid casualties. Second Srihatta Lakhnauti War, Shitalakya River. The Sultan was not happy at all with the result of the first battle and decided that the army should train and prepare before readying themselves for another battle. In the second expedition, Sikandar route the same route through Maimansingh. As the army marched through the hills, a storm took place. Due to heavy rainfall and flooding, nearly half of the army died by the time Sikandar reached Govinda. According to Gulzari Abrar, a Muslim account of the war, Govinda's massive war boats looked like as if they were floating forts on the water. The two armies decided to attack together, but it ended in failure due to Govinda's superior military strategy. Govinda's family rejoiced over the 3 consecutive victories, and his aunt Apurna, the queen mother and the wife of previous Raja Govardhan, celebrated by building a 20-acre water tank in Ambarkhana known as Rajar Mar Dighi. They were defeated once again and Sikandar retreated back to Lakhnauti for the second time. Humiliated by what has happened, Firoz Shah then turned to his Sipah Salar Sayyid Nasiruddin, and he realized that this undertaking was much bigger than he anticipated and he would need a larger and more skilled army. The third Srihatta Lakhnauti War. Nasiruddin then returned to Lakhnauti, where he heard of the arrival of famous Ghazi Shah Jalal, as well as his companions, who at this point numbered around 360 regiment. Shah Jalal was famed for his strong physique and tall stature, and the army decided to spend a night in his company. A much larger army was made, and this new and improved army travelled to Sylhet via Kumilla and Habiganj. The army was then guided to Srihatta once again by Ghazi Burhanuddin, ultimately arriving at the banks of the Borak river. They set their camp on the top of a small hillock northeast of the Kansha Nisudhina temple, from where the third battle was fought between Gaur Govinda and the combined armies of Shah Jalal and Sayyid Nasiruddin. Fall of the Gaur kingdom. Based on Hottonathir Panchali, Shah Jalal called out the Adhan as the time for Salah approached, and the army were able to destroy Govinda's 7-story Gaurdwar palace. After hearing that his commander Mona Rai was killed, Govinda was forced to retreat and Srihatta was brought under Muslim control. According to tradition, another disciple of Shah Jalal, Shah Chashni Pir, at this point compared the soil in Srihatta, that which was previously given by Ahmad Kabir, finding them to be identical. In any case, following the battle, Shah Jalal along with his followers permanently settled in Sylhet. Gaur Govinda most probably was killed during the battle. However, Achuk Narayan, the ruler of Tunganchal, formed an alliance with the king of Tripura and thwarted the Muslim aggression in South Srihatta, which kingdom was later known as Ita Rajya. The Ita kingdom survived as a separate Hindu kingdom until the Mughal period.
Battle of Pandua. Coming up next is the account of the battle with the king of Pandua and Shamshuddin Firoz Shah in 1292 AD. As the ruler of Pandua had a newborn child, he organized a party in his kingdom. Upon the arrival of the party, Shah Sufi assaulted and looted the border towns of Pandua and slaughtered Hindus and deliberately killed cows. Horrendous discontent emerged among the citizens, and as of now the newborn prince became sick and died unfortunately. Ruler Pandava assaulted Shah Sufi and crushed his whole armed force. Shah Sufi escaped, and every one of the new Muslims in the line areas of the Burdwan escaped from his kingdom in fear. Let's look at the background to the Triveni conflict, Mankar Saptagram war. Before starting the discussion about the topic, you should know the background. According to Kushinama, during the reign of Rukuddin Kaikaz, Ziauddin Ulugh Khan, the governor of Munger, was sent to conquer Saptagram for the first time. According to Lakshmi Shrai inscription, Ziauddin sent Ulugh Khan from Munger to Saptagram. Ulugh fought with the Hindu king of Saptagram. In the Battle of Triveni, he was killed by the combined force of Bhudev Ray and Manripati. Manripati was the ruler of Mankar region of Burdwan. Later, Shah Sufi and Jafar Khan Ghazi were sent to conquer Triveni. Jafar Khan was the governor of Chala Maksudabad of Mudgaon. Although Shah Sufi could not conquer Triveni, he defeated Manripati in Burdwan area. Manripati died in battle. Islamic rule was established in some parts of Burdwan. Shah Sufi did this to make his subsequent plan to capture Triveni a success. Now coming to Kissa of Pandua, Shah Sufi escaped to Lakhnauti in fear, and conflict was declared between Lakhnauti governor Firoz Shah and Pandua. Because of the Islamic Ummah idea, Firoz Shah assisted Shah Sufi with an enormous, powerful armed force and with two commanders named Jafar Khan and Behram Saka to help in the conflict against the king of Pandua.
The situation of Muslim in the Battle of Pandua could be described in two verses of Panduar Kissa. কাফেরের কাছেতে মুমিন মুসলমান বাঘের নিকট রয়তা বকরির সমান. If we translate these verses into English, it implies that in the battlefield the Muslim forces were crushed down by Hindus in such a manner that it was like some goats struggling in front of a tiger.
The fall of Pandua. As of now, Behram Saka and Shah Sufi assaulted Pandua with their military, and Jafar Khan Ghazi assaulted Saptagram and from that point assaulted Pandua. Citizens of Pandua were pointlessly negative towards the king for the killing of cows. The king of Pandua took on a furious conflict against the jihadis, and following a couple of long stretches of battling, the king was martyred. Destruction of temple by Shah Sufi and Jafar Khan. Pandua went under the control of Sufi. After the victory of Pandua Triveni, Jafar Khan Ghazi and Shah Sufi demolished numerous temples and forcefully converted over numerous Hindus. The well-known Vishnu temple of Pandua was destroyed and a mosque was built over it. The Vishnu pillar is as yet present in the mosque premises.
Jafar Khan and Shah Sufi destructed many temples in Pandua. Artworks of Jafar Khan's Mazar are the burning proof of that it was built on a Hindu temple site. Sculptures of Hindu gods and goddesses are still visible. Historian Sitaram Goel also supported this argument.
Battle of Bhagirathpur. After the snap of Pandua, their eyes fell on the kingdom of Bhagirathpur, Balia Basanti and Nodia Joshar areas of Mukut Rai. A Brahmin king named Jayahari Chakravarti, who managed in the Bhagirathpur region around 1294. It isn't known precisely how long his ancestors dominated there. Jayahari Chakravarti was known as Vaman Raja. Attack on Bhagirathpur. The place of this Lord Jayahari Pond, presently known as Jalhari Pond, in his downtown, and Lilapukur set up by his widow little girl Nilabati are as yet protecting their memory. Lord Jayahari used to practice Swadhamma with commitment. Swadhamma is a dharma which incorporates a person's extraordinary commitments, duties and morality. Not just a good ruler, he was also a good Brahmin simultaneously. Yes, he had no children. From the 13th century to the end of 14th century, the mission for the social foundation of Islam occurred in the Banga. Prior to the Muslim coup, numerous little Hindu lords controlled the Hooghly area. The Muslim Ghazis came to preach there and were killed in the strict conflict. Occupy of Bhagirathpur, looting and genocide. Mr. Stapleton has expounded on this. The ruler of Delhi used to send Ghazi and Olias in attempt to overcome Vanga or Bengal from the inside. It was a strategy of their governmental issues. As indicated by him, these Ghazis and Uliyas are the 5th generation warfare of Delhi. Mansoor assembled Fakir's military and attacked the Jayahari kingdom. Ruler Jayahari with his military went out to confront the opponent. Before the ruler went to the war zone, he told the queen and his daughter Lilavati, "I am taking a few pigeons with me. As long I am alive in the combat zone, I will deal with the pigeons. In case I am about to die, I will free the pigeons in the sky. Then at that point, you will do what your Raj Dharma heart wish you to do." The battle of Brahman king with Mansoor occurred on the plain towards the east of Gaud. Jayahari was crushed in this fight and liberated the pigeons according to the protocols. Seeing this, the queen and the princess chose the path of die with dignity by drowning themselves in Jayahari lake.
According to the individuals of that area, human skulls and bones were discovered from that lake while digging it. Princess Lilavati is honored as Devi Ma in the areas of Talpur and surrounding areas of Rasulpur.
Invasion of Balia Basanti kingdom. Maharaja Chandra Mohan Dhara. Around then, the Sultan's military was joined by a gathering of apostles of Islam like Maulana and Sufi. They would tell the infidels, kafir, referring to Hindus, to acknowledge Islam. If not, they would urge the Sultan to attack that kafir kingdom. The equivalent occurred on the account of Baliya-Basanti. Around then, Baliya-Basanti was a little Hindu kingdom. Here was the capital of the kingdom, and close to it was a military cantonment. The region is as yet referred to everyday citizens as Bagdi Raja's Gaud. There is likewise a lake named after the ruler named Chandrapukur. Close by was the temple of kings Ishtodevi Ma Kali. There is no temple now, yet there is a Kali Puja of that Bagdi ruler. Descendants of the Bagdi Barga-Kshatriya ruler citizen actually play out that Kali Puja, and to locals it is known as Dhara Mayer Pujo. Year 1295. Maharaja Chandranath Dhara. Seeing the name Dhara related to Chandrapukur and Dhara mother's devotion, local people said that the name of the Bagdi ruler of Balia Basanti was Chandranath Dhara. However, many individuals additionally say that the name of the lord was Chandramohan. The ruler was Matri Bhakto, Devo Dij Bhukti Parayan or Otithi Vatsha. First day of the war. Shamsuddin Firoz Shah authorized Hazrat Saifuddin Shahid Aka Shah Sufi Sultan as the administrator of Pandua after his success. Shah Sufi and Sayyid Hussain Bukhari failed to convince the Hindu ruler of Balia Basanti to convert to Islam. Thus, he fueled the Sultan's attack on that region. Essentially, in 1295 AD, under the command of Jafar Khan Ghazi and Sayyid Hussain Bukhari, the Sultanate attacked the Bagdi king of Balia Basanti. At first, they set up a camp close to the king's post. They thought that the king would accept Islam out of fear. Yet, that didn't occur. Unexpectedly, Raja Chandra counter-assaulted Jafar's power in the first part of the day, second and third day of war. The Sultan's power withdrew at the command of the Bagdi king's soldiers. The following day, the fight broke out once more. On this day, King Chandra sent more soldiers into the fight. In this clash of the second day, Saifuddin's most beloved warrior Shah Suleiman was killed on alongside of many Sultan's troops. On the third day, the Sultan's forces embraced another strategy. They split into two groups. One group attacked and destroyed Hindu towns around Balia Basanti, and the subsequent group attacked Chandra Raja's capital. On the third day, additionally, the Sultan's army lost. Conspiracy of Sayyid Hussain Bukhari. They again made another new strategy on the fourth day. On this day, on advice of Shah Sufi Sultan, Hazrat, dressed like a Hindu priest, entered the stronghold of Chandra Raja. Seeing the Hindu priest, nobody halted him. Sayyid Hussain Bukhari in disguise entered the capital and saw that a large portion of the Lord's warrior was bathing in the water of a lake. Sayyid Hussain Bukhari began attempt to destroy the purity of Chandra Raja's lake. For this reason, he showed up again the following day. With him, he took a piece of prohibited beef. This time he sat under the tree of the bank of the lake and behaving like performing the Mala Mantra. After hearing the news, King Chandra asked his troopers to take care of the beast. The fruits came, yet the priest did not acknowledge it. Lord Chandra came running as he wanted to know the basis. Fall of Balia Basanti. The priest said that he was very tired in view of long far of walking and didn't bath down for a quite while and needed to wash in that lake. At the request of King Chandra, his military decently took the priest to bath in the lake. When he got into the water of the lake, the hidden priest tossed the hidden piece of taboo meat, beef, from his mouth. Then, at that point, he ate some food given to him by the ruler and left. On the fifth day, the fight started once again. Many troopers on the two sides were wounded. After the fights, the warriors of Chandra Raja went to wash in the lake, but the troopers saw the illegal meat of beef drifting in the lake water. Seeing this scene, the troopers returned without washing down. Also, when the news spread, the fighters became disappointed. On the morning of the sixth day, the fight started once more. In the present circumstance, disaster fell upon Chandra Raja. However, the ruler of Mallabhum, Maharaja Prithimalla of Bankura Bishnupur, was a friend of Chandra Raja. With certain loyal fighters, King Chandra walked towards his friend's kingdom. At sunrise, Chandra Raja made the Sultan's cavalrymen of the Sultan's military en route to Kagmari town. This is where the wild battling began. The Sultanate jihadis were killed on the spot by Chandra Raja. In the 5-day battle, 4 generals of Sultan army were killed. Hazrat Shah Sayyid Khairur Rahman,
Hazrat Shah Sayyid Tariwar Rahman, Hazrat Shah Syed Abdur Rahman, Hazrat Shah Syed Faizur Rahman.
Reason behind the name Furfur. Afterwards, the bodies of the 4 generals were brought to Balia Basanti and buried. King Chandramohan Dhara got political shelter in Mallabur. The graveyard of the generals is known as Ganje Shuhada. One more name for Ganje Shuhada is Fur Farha. Fur signifies full and Farha signifies happy. Many individuals feel that Furfura comes from the Furfarha. Some others said Farhe Farha to Furfura, which implies sublime delight. Again, somebody said Farfara to Furfura, which signifies quick. This is the name given to the first foundation of Muslim doctrines in Battle of Khenia, year 1295 to 97. Maharaja Daksin Ray, the Hindu warrior who defeated Delhi Sultanate and is worshipped as a deity in Sundarban. After the victory of Balia Basanti and Bhagirathpur, Jafar Khan removed Ghazi Sufi and turned himself to be the leader of Pandua and attacked the areas of Jeshore Nodia, which is the region of Maharaja Mukut Rai's kingdom. Daksin Ray, the lord of 18 Bhati, Chandrabodon Chandrakai, Brakhobahan Daksin Ray, ঢাল তলোয়ার টাঙ্গি হস্তে দক্ষিণ রায় নমস্তে, ruler of Badabon Daksin Ray. He is popular as both riding on horseback or on tiger. People of Sundarban actually worship his heavenly idol. His yearly puja is typically hung on the 1st of Magh month. In many spots, this puja is apparently finished on one of the times of Magh or Buddha Purnima or inside it.
Middle age Bengali poets like Madhavacharya, Krishnaram Das, Haridatta, Rudradev have composed many verses on his life. It is called Rai Mangal. Krishnaram Das says Krishnaram Birochiro Rayero Mongol Poshi Shunno Ritu Chanda Shokero Botsor, which implies Krishnaram's Rai Mangal was written on 1608 AD or approximately in 17th century. In 1235 AD, for the second time, after Ariraj Viswak Shankar Viswarup Sen, Ariraj Ashar Shankar Surya Sen took the throne of Bikrampur. In any case, he is essential for a furious assault by the Turks. In present circumstances, Prabhakar and Amatya of Sen Raj dynasty had to take the responsibility of the administration of lower Khadi Mandal of the Pundravardhana bhukti in the lower area of South Bengal. According to historian Rajinikanth Chakraborty, he established his capital near present-day Diamond Harbour. Because of his shrewdness strategies, the Turkish powers were driven out of the Gulf. Pirangana Narayani was the wife of King Prabhakar. From ancient times, the Sundarban region has been known as 18 Bhati Desh. There are also different opinions about the naming of 18 Bhati. For the example, 18 unique small large rivers flow through the forest and merge into the sea. Based on that number, Sundarban is called 18 Bhati Desh. Or according to some other historians, it is called 18 Bhati because there exist 18 individual small or big islands in the coastal region. Biography of 18 Bhatir Adhipati Daksin Ray. Like the Sen ruler, Prabhakar Ray was also a great devotee of Bhagwan Sadasiv. He got the vardhan of having a son. It is said that Sadasiv himself took the avatar and was born as his child, as Daksin. Muni mukhe suniya nirpoti Prabhakar Sadasiv sebiya pailo putrobor. Apuni hoinu giya taharo nandon bosailo naborajyo katiya kanon. At the point when child grew up, Prabhakar wedded him to Lilavati and set him on the king's position of Khadi. The time period between 1248 to 1259 AD, Prabhakar took the sannyas by handing over the charge of the country to Daksin Ray. His sannyas name was Dandebhaksa Muni or Mani Thakur. Daksin Ray is regarded as the overall ruler of the Sundarban, honored as 18 Bhatir Adhipati or the lord of 18 Bhatis. He was a Dharma Yodha and was a warputra of Sadasiv who resisted the attacks of Ghazi. In 1292 to 1293, Rukuddin Firoz Shah, sitting in the Masnad of Bihar Lakhnauti, sent his dedicated general Jafar Khan Ghazi to South Bengal to convert the infidel Kafirs Jafar Khan Ghazi originally assaulted Triveni and Saptagram. Triveni is crushed. Khan destroyed the renowned Vishnu temples, Saurabha Mandir, Haragauri Mandir, Ganga Mandir built by Vijay Sen, Ballal Sen and Lakshman Sen, transformed the temple complex into a mosque. Jafar Khan Ghazi had 3 children. They are Ain Khan, Gain Khan and Bara Khan Ghazi. Jafar Khan Ghazi sent his third child Bara Khan Ghazi to Islamize Lower Bengal around 1296 AD. Maharaj Mukut Rai managed at Bijaynagar, north of the inlet. Mukut Rai was a relative of Daksin Rai. Bhati's king Daksin Rai helped Mukut Rai in the fight. With the spread of Islam in Lower Bengal, Bara Khan's eyes fell on Chambawati, the daughter of King Mukut Rai. Attack on Bijaynagar. Dokhin Namete Rai, Rajar Gosai, Tar Samotul Bir Tribhuvan Nai. Translation: There is no king like Daksin Rai in Tribhuvan. Back in 1297, the commander of Delhi Sultanate Jafar Khan Ghazi sent his son Bara Khan Ghazi against the kingdoms of Bhati Bongo. Indeed, that Daksin Rai more than once remained as a safeguard before Bara Khan Ghazi. However, one day Bara Khan got the report from an impostor that Daksin Rai isn't in the Khadi. He is in the south, going to visit the Tirtha Yatra, and Ghazi made the most of the chance. He brought an enormous armed force and laid an attack on Vijayanagar. The news arrived at Daksin Rai. He surged towards Vijayanagar with his Rudra Saino. However, then Mukut Rai was killed in the fight, and his wife and little sons chose to die with dignity into the lake of Ramsantal. Bara Khan caught the crown princess Champawati. To save Champawati, Daksin Rai agreed to hand over Vijayanagar to Bara Khan Ghazi. In this manner, the two agreed to immediate non-aggression. Maharaja Bhudev Ray, the Ghazi slayer and the liberator of Triveni. In the late 1292, Triveni Saptagram area became a stronghold for Muslim raiders and Sufis who were funded by Delhi Sultanates and their counterparts in Bengal, and their main motive was to convert all the Sanatanis in southern part of Bengal and claim those areas under their rule. Jafar Khan Ghazi and his son Barokha Ghazi were the main people who led attacks on small Hindu kingdoms and converted them either by power or doing traitorous attack. Small Hindu kingdoms like Baliya-Basanti and Bhagirathpur fought with full force, but sadly failed. Forcefully conversion was at its peak. Hindu women were being raped, men who opposed were being killed brutally, a lot of temples were being just demolished. Only Bhudev Nipoti and Daksin Rai were successfully repelling the attacks. In this time, in further Raj, a pious and powerful king Maharaja Bhudev Ray ruled in Bhutia kingdom. He was only king who kept his kingdom independent in Raj for 2 decades against Uliya Khan, Shah Sufi, Jafar Khan and Barakha Ghazi. At this time, Daksin Rai was planning to ashram them from southern Bengal. Maharaja Bhudev Ray's capital was in Bhedia village of West Bardhaman. He has an incredible army, very well trained in Raibese, and had a greater cavalry. All the Radiya warlords like Ugrakshatriya, Vargakshatriya and Mallas were the part of his army, as both of them were fighting for the same reason that brought them closer. Battle of Mahanad, 1303 AD. These two kings, ruling in two different sides of Bengal, made an alliance because of their common enemy, Islamic invaders. In the time when Daksin Rai was planning to ashraf the Ghazis, Raja Bhudev Ray joined him. They planned a double-sided attack on Triveni. As per plan, Maharaj Bhudev Ray suddenly attacked Triveni with his huge strong armed force, and war broke out between Jafar Khan and Maharaj Bhudev Ray. Maharaj's army, being pumped of defeating Yavans from their land, fought like being blessed by Mahakal himself, cutting down the enemies with full force. At the last, Bhudev Ray met Jafar Khan Ghazi in Mahanad near Triveni and Itachunga. Bhudev Ray's sword made Ghazi's throat, and Jafar Khan Ghazi was beheaded by Maharaja Bhudev Ray. The cutted head were lying on the boundaries of Mahanad. In some moments, Sanatanis crushed Ghazi's forces and started going towards Khenia, where Maharaja Daksin Rai was fighting with Barokha Ghazi. There was a temporary coexistence between them, but within a few days, enmity started between the two powers over the rights of the lower region. Bhati started again. Daksin Rai declared Dharma Yuddha against the Mlecchas. However, this artificial compromise didn't last last long. They stood eye to eye in the boundaries of Khenia. The Bargasatriya, Pondasatriya, Dhali fighters of Sundarban joined Daksin Rai. This time the local warlords of Sundarban area joined Daksin Rai to save the sovereignty of Bhati. The balance was tilted in favor of Daksin Rai. Maharaj Khan couldn't stand the legitimate face-to-face fight. That's where the story took an unexpected turn. Raja Bhudev Ray invaded Triveni and joined the forces of Daksin Rai. Jafar Khan was caught off guard and his army were annihilated. Jafar Khan Ghazi were beheaded and his headless body was brought to Triveni while his head was lying in the boundaries of Mahanad. Moreover, news came to him that Jafar Khan Ghazi lost his life in a fight. Daksin Rai in front, Bhudev Nipoti towards the back, had the last liberty to retreat and leave away, leaving the fight another day. Maharaj Khan was soundly defeated and took shelter in Sadga fort. Daksin Rai's gallantry kept threatening to Bara to withdraw their force. Maharaj Khan has no choice but to surrender. Thus, the Vidharmi Mlecho forces were annihilated. Sadly, while people remember Jafar Khan Ghazi, no one remembers the great king Maharaja Bhudev Ray. However, Maharaj Khan couldn't enter in Bhati until Daksin Rai's death in 1313 AD. Daksin Rai is as yet honored as the savior of the people of Sundarban.